Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today's video, smoked salmon. Welcome to the channel. If you're looking for authentic Cajun and Creole cuisines, down-home, good old Southern comfort food, or just about anything for that matter, then you're in the right place. And today's video is a smoked salmon. Now, I made this for some friends of mine, and one of them said that this was the best salmon they've ever had. This is a little bit different recipe than I normally do on this channel, but hey, like I said just a little while ago, if you're looking for just about anything, you're in the right place. Today, we're gonna take a salmon and we're gonna infuse it with some Asian flavors. Now, this might seem a little bit weird when you start watching the video. I am gonna season it with my West Coast Cajun Creole seasoning, and then I'm gonna glaze it with a soy, ginger, sesame oil glaze. And trust me, that might sound weird, but it works so well. It was a little experiment that I did, and it turned out so good that I've made it 4 or 5 times since. Let's get to the kitchen, start cooking. Here are the ingredients. I'll also have the full recipe down in the description box below. All right, the first thing I did was I took the salmon fillet out of the package and then I patted it dry with a paper towel. Now I'm going to go ahead and season it with my West Coast Cajun Cuisine's Creole seasoning. You use whatever seasoning you like. Just be mindful of the salt content. So we're going to go ahead and season it. Now, like I said, this is straight out of the fridge, so we're going to set this to the side on the counter, let it come to room temperature before we throw it on the smoker. Now I'm going to get prepped for my sauce. Now I have some shallot, some garlic, some ginger. We're just going to give it a rough chop. You don't have to dice it fine or anything, because later on when we're ready, I'm going to put it in a blender and blend it all together. All right, I have a saucepan that I have heated up on a medium heat. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil. We're going to let that olive oil heat up a little bit. Then we're going to add our shallot and garlic and ginger. Then we're going to give it a quick mix. We're going to add a pinch of salt. And then we're going to saute it for about 5 minutes. Now that this is sauteed for about 5 minutes, it's time to add the rest of the ingredients. We're going to add everything except for the sesame oil. Just make sure you go ahead and follow the recipe below. And once we get everything in there, give it a quick mix. Bring it down to a low simmer and let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, while our sauce is simmering, let's go get our grill set up. Now I'm going to put a little bit of charcoal and some apple wood in here, and we're going to set the temp to about 275 degrees. All right, the smoker has come up to temp. We're going to take this filet, we're going to lay it on the top rack, and we're going to cook it till it reaches about 140 degrees, and then we'll glaze it. Now this has the skin on it, so we're going to lay it skin side down, and if you cook this right, later on when it's all done, the skin's going to peel right off. All right, let's get back to our sauce. It's been simmering for about 10-15 minutes or so. Now we're going to put it in the blender. We're going to blend this on high for about 5 minutes until it's nice and smooth. Now that we have it blended all nice and smooth, we're going to strain it. I'm going to take this chinois and take a spoon and just kind of stir it around until we can separate the liquid from the pulp as best we can. We're going to give it a quick mix, and you can see how nice and smooth it is. I'm going to give it a taste, and I noticed that it's a little bit strong, so I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of water just to dilute it a little bit, and then we'll move on. All right, so now we've brought it back up to a low simmer, and I've made a cornstarch slurry with about a half a cup of cold water and a tablespoon of cornstarch. And I'm going to add just a little bit at a time until I get the sauce to the consistency that I want. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to use all of the slurry. I'm just going to use enough to get it as thick as I'd like it. Now that our sauce is good, we want to add the sesame oil. Once you put that in there, give it a quick whisk. Turn the heat down on low. Let's go check on our salmon. Alright, I checked the internal temp on this salmon and it's about 140 degrees. So now it's time to glaze it. And once we get the glaze on there, we're just going to close it up and let it sit for another 5 minutes and let that glaze tack up. Alright, it's been about 5 minutes. Our salmon is looking good. It's time to pull it off. We're going to let it rest for just a few minutes and we're going to plate up. So what I did here is I made some wild rice and some broccoli rabe. So first of all, I'm going to lay down a nice bed of rice here. We're going to get it looking pretty. We're going to lay that filet down on top of that. We're going to put the broccoli rabe around it. We're going to make it look nice. We're going to drizzle some sauce on it, and you'll see how it all comes together as we go along here. Alright, this is what we ended up with. Now the only other thing left to do is give it a taste. As you can see here, man, this fish is nice and flaky, and let me tell you something, it was delicious. Look, if you haven't already and you'd like to subscribe, click here. Want to check out another video on the channel? Check out this playlist, or maybe this video is more to your liking. Either way, click one of those and I'll see you in the next one.